Intro, let's go with another flow. Ain't your average entertainment show. More than entertainment than what's on the screen. Connecting dots on what you see. Have you ever wondered how it all began? The idea, how they started the plan. Execs, actors, the whole team. Mad props to those behind the scene. Why did the person get into the biz? Something inside when they were a kid. Who helped them out when they wanted to quit? What about the fam that gave them rocks to kick? How all the haters, they left shaming alone. Find out in the entertainment zone with Paul Amadeus Lane. It's a real thing. Intro, let's go with another flow. Ain't your average entertainment show. More than entertainment than what's on the screen. Connecting dots on what you see.
Yo, welcome. Entertainment Zone, Paul Amadeus Lane. We're going to talk about entertainment. Today we are going to give our review of Elseworlds, the Arrowverse, the CW, the crossover. How did you like it? Did you enjoy it? What did you think about the characters? What did you think about the characters that weren't in there? Who would you like to see be part of the Arrowverse? Well, my colleague and I, Darryl from Hollywood News Source, we're going to delve into that issue and talk about it. And if you agree, awesome. If you don't, that's awesome. Let us know your thoughts. Darryl and I would love to share some of your comments during our time chatting and reviewing certain things. ABC News Radio, KMET, Hollywood News Source. Like, share, do all the great things. But thank you so much for checking things out and listening to our takes. Without any further delay, let me bring my brother from across the pond on as we discuss and review Elseworlds. So happy to have back with me my colleague from Hollywood News Source, senior editor, Darryl. Darryl, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Hey, great to have you back on talking about things that we're passionate about, shows, CW, and comic books and superheroes. So let's tackle Elseworld. So Elseworld started out with The Flash first, and we saw a little different kind of vibe with this kind of Arrowverse. What was your first impression when you found out, okay, this episode is dealing with Barry and Oliver switching, the big thing going on, like the movie. So what went through your mind the first time when you saw how this was going?
Obviously, I had a fair view about it beforehand, because obviously all these set photos of the two of them in each other's costumes would be coming out. So I was a bit worried in terms of how the pacing might be and how much they might play things up for comedy. But actually watching Flash, there was a bit of comedy, but it was handled well, I thought. There were a lot of sort of jokes that poked fun at the Flash and its sort of tropes, which I thought worked pretty well. So it was a lot of fun. I think it was probably the right idea to start things out light in a way that last season's wasn't.
That's true. It was kind of dark and It was like, hit the ground running. And when we look at the the nemesis in the Elseworlds, the Monitor, when he first showed his head in some of the, I guess, the episodes leading up to Elseworld.
Yeah, the week before, yeah.
Yeah, they kept showing the same clip, the future Flash, and him, kind of having a discussion about the different worlds and everything in the book.
Yeah.
The Monitor's character added an element that I think other Arrowverse crossovers lacked. I think his character was spot on. We didn't know, and we still didn't know, is he a friend or foe? But that first episode, man, it kind of, just brought home a point that this was going to be some real stuff.
Yeah, I think the fact that most people know, even with there's a cursory knowledge of comics, they know who the Monitor is and how important he is to the mythology of Supergirl and the Flash. So it instantly raised the stakes in a way that the first crossover didn't, because it was their first try and it had its awkward moments, but definitely in a way that the second one didn't, because it was reasonably straightforward. You had another army to fight, which was fine because you had lots of other people to fight it with. So yeah, definitely on a whole new scale. And when we see in those clips that ran the week before, we see what we assume to be the death of a whole universe.
That's true. That's true. And LaMonica Garrett, who played the Monitor, he did a fantastic job. I'm a huge fan of the work he's done on Designated Survivor.
I watched as well. Yeah,
and just his character was awesome, and it was good seeing the Lois Lane's character.
Betsy Todd, big fan of hers. I love Grimm. That show was amazing. Cancelled too soon. Needs a spin-off. Get on it.
I guess one thing that kind of a criticism for me is I just don't like the way Superman is portrayed in Supergirl and even in Elseworld. It just,
in what way?
He doesn't look like a Superman to me. You know what I mean? It's like, when you look at Smallville, that character looked like a Superman character to me. His character is like they're forcing this Superman story with it really doesn't make any sense to me. But from a comic book standpoint, it does make sense. But when it comes to seeing it on screen, his character just doesn't do it for me. Even when he's just on Smallville with Kara and interacting, it just didn't do it for me in that first episode. But I will tell you, once we get to episode number 3, I was like, okay, but just in the beginning, it started off kind of slow for me in the beginning.
I have seen a lot of questioning, criticism of Tyler Hoechlin as a Superman. I don't personally see it. I think he does it very well. I can remember seeing him on Supergirl, and I just thought he was a perfect match because he's just pretty much the male version of Kara. He has that lightness, which if you followed Tyler Hoechlin's career and saw him in Teen Wolf, you'd be surprised he has that depth, because he definitely didn't play a character who you could consider light or positive. I think it works well. I've seen, obviously I watched Supergirl. I've seen Tyler Hoechlin at events talking about obviously working on Supergirl, and I believe him. But yeah, I have seen other people say they don't necessarily like him as Superman. And to those people, I would ask, is it that you don't like him, or is it that you don't like how Superman is in Supergirl?
Yeah,
because that's not necessarily the Superman that you know
absolutely.
Or expect.
No, that's a very good point. And for me, it's how he's portrayed in Supergirl, because I think he's a fantastic actor. He does a real good job in everything that he's in. And when we look at how the first episode of Elseworlds came into fruition, it was pretty interesting how the dynamic when Team Flash, I was shocked that they didn't believe Oliver and Barry.
That would probably be my biggest criticism of the episode, is for them to one, disbelieve him immediately and take such extreme measures makes absolutely no sense. For anybody who's watched Flash and has seen a child from the future come to learn about her parents, a whole backstory get retconned, resulting in Caitlin gaining powers which she didn't have before, crossing universes, all that. But what, 2 people body swapping? Nah, that's impossible.
Yeah,
that couldn't possibly happen. this has to be that two people who live a few hundred miles apart suddenly both cracked at exactly the same time and started having very vivid hallucinations that completely connect to each other. No,
Yeah,
that was a horrible bit of writing.
I was the same way.
Horrible.
And I will tell you something that I really enjoyed when you start to see Barry and Oliver take on each other's personalities, and then you saw Barry having a little bit of darkness, like Oliver has, and then Oliver having a conscience, so like Barry does, and saying some little slapstick jokes and everything. And I really appreciated about episode 1. And then when we got to episode 2, now we saw everything change, where this book and everything just changed everything from episode 1 to from episode 2. They build on that. Now we get into Arkham Asylum. Now we find out a backstory about in the comic books when it comes to Bruce Wayne and his cousin and everything. I thought that was really a good piece to that Elseworlds.
It was interesting. It reminded me of the short-lived show Birds of Prey, which has a very similar sort of story of Batman's disappeared and has been gone for a few years. Therefore, other vigilantes had to come out to deal with Gotham and its many excesses. It was interesting. I thought it was well formed. Just for me, I don't have that much buy-in with Batwoman. I haven't read any of the comics. I'm not that familiar with the story. So for me, it wasn't that engaging. So I was just watching it to watch the continuation of the story.
What's interesting too about the Earth and everything, that the Batwoman story, it kind of confused me. And I'll tell you this is where it confused me at, because when Kara was like, our cousins don't get along, she was talking to Batgirl.
Yes,
that confused me, because
that had a problem, and it went, and it sort of continued on.
It's like,
but I have many problems with them putting Batwoman on Earth 1. To me, that makes no sense. It would seem a lot smarter to put her on Earth S, or whatever their actual Earth number is. And I think it's one of the weaknesses of the crossovers, which isn't the crossover's fault. It is the fact that they always have to have things happen on Earth. Leaves Supergirl out. In fact, I was just reading an article that argues that the crossovers shouldn't have Supergirl because they don't use her.
Right.
And I could see their argument, because it's true, she doesn't really get used. I mean, because we had the first one, in the first crossover, we had the death of a president on Earth 1, which is this huge thing which was made literally nothing about afterwards. But we have those huge stakes for Barry and Oliver, but no stakes for Supergirl, because she's just going back home afterwards. She's fine. She just goes back to her problems. And while they have them on separate Earths, I don't see what they could do to change it.
Yeah.
Although I don't think I'd agree with leaving her out, because as a character, she brings a lot.
That's true.
She is the closest to the perfect hero of them all, because I know that obviously Oliver gets a lot of stick for his approach to things, but Barry is just as flawed, if not more. I mean, Flashpoint.
Oh yeah. No, you're right. And when it comes to the Supergirl not being from Earth 1, you know what? Remember, they said Kara's pod has not, crashed, on Earth 1 yet. So if they really want to switch things up, I would like them to have Kara's pod finally crash on Earth 1, she becomes a character, and just forget about what's going on in the other Earth, because I think that'll be a more cohesive kind of storyline if they ever want to do the Arrowverse again. And then
yeah, I think that'd be too hard. You then be getting rid of all of her characters.
Not really, because
the leader,
if they have
Luthor stands would riot, set fire to the world, and we'd all burn.
Well, the way I look at it too, Darryl, is like this. Everybody has a doppelganger. So there's a James Olsen. There's
I think we're all a little sick of doppelgangers now. I think we just about allow for DA Lance, and that's about it. Never mind the fact that the dark siren from Earth X is still running around on Earth 1.
Yeah,
and we've said nothing about it. So there's two of them. So no, I'm sorry, no, I'm not doing this doppelganger thing again.
And you know what? I forgot to talk about Jeremy Davies as Dr. John Deegan, and the thing, and just the way his character was portrayed, and I think did a really good job of portraying him, and just his kind of nerdish, kind of evil, the nerd strike back by getting the power kind of storyline. What'd you think of Dr. John Deegan?
Okay, I like Jeremy as an actor. I see he always pops up, and he does that at either geeky or slightly crazy, dangerous sort of look to him, and he brings that energy. It's interesting. As a character, yeah, it was okay, but it just felt like he was there to just move the story forward, because we didn't really we don't know his backstory.
Right.
We see him cut. We see the speech, and he goes, we should start doing eugenics and stuff. It's like, whoa, that just came out there. It's like, okay, this comes out of nowhere. We know he's practicing at Arkham, and then they allude later to like he's been like sued a few times but hasn't lost his license. It's they rushed his backstory, which sometimes happens in these things. But I feel like if you're going to have someone like him, he is the primary antagonist. He's not the monitor's just there to raise the stakes. You should give more time. You should have invested more time in him to understand what he's about, because it seems like he's a leaner, in that in order for men to be strong and to be good, they need to be as powerful as the aliens around them, sort of thing. Seems like that sort of argument, but it wasn't very well explained.
Right. No, I hear you. And then we take it to the last part 3 of Elseworlds with Supergirl, and we get more of a story of Clark, Superman becoming more of just the overseer, of Earth, and just wreaking havoc and just taking care of business. What did you think about the kind of like the storyline with he and Lois Lane, and how he basically retired and said, "Okay, Kara, it's on you." And then they started talking about things like the ice caves of Krypton and all these other things that if you're not a comic book person, you have no idea what in the world they're talking about. Do you think that just kind of was like throwing stuff on the wall and see if it sticks, or do you think it has something to do with it? Or what's your take?
Well, there were one that I think of all the episodes, the Supergirl episode had the most to do with Supergirl and her ongoing story. Dealing with Agent Liberty and having to leave the DEO. So we've known before that Supergirl is stronger than Superman, and I think this just sort of cleans up that universe by having Clark away for the long term, for at least a year, if not more, and explains why we won't see him come back again for a while.
Mhm.
And I think it was a well written and well worked out. And it will obviously make sense when that other Kara pops up
Right.
and
Right.
makes it so there are only two. Because otherwise, if that other Kara pops up and starts tearing the place up,
Right.
there would be no justification as of why Superman wouldn't come to help her deal with it.
Right. And do
So
you
it fits in a lot more. Whereas I think we got pretty much nothing about. They said Cicada. We didn't see Nora.
right.
So there's no reference to Flash moving on. We got we got more insight into Oliver and Felicity.
Yeah.
With that finding out about Felicity talking to Iris about how she feels that Oliver's been treating her. That was interesting. I think that served the purpose. And it showed Oliver the other side of the argument. And I can understand, given what he's been through for the past however months he was in, it's easy to understand how he missed that.
Right.
So to see him hopefully see that and take that on board, I think that moves the story forward. But I think Supergirl got the most story moving forward. Then Arrow, Oliver got a little bit more introspection, a little bit more into, but Barry didn't really get much.
Yeah, that's true. They left him out of the storyline when it comes to
And there
that.
was the producers talked about that the crossover would see Barry and Oliver seeing the parts in each other that they can take on moving forward. And that's I'm not necessarily convinced yet. We'll obviously have to see.
And that's one thing I'm going to find out if some of that attitude and that swagger that Oliver has is it going to stay with Barry, and is Barry going to be a more darker character, and not only that, one other aspect of that, the last episode of Elseworlds 2, at the end, where the doctor was right next to a cell. Was that Dawn he was next to? What do you think?
No, the one next to him was
because we didn't know.
There's
no identity.
I think that was meant to be Dr. Fate during his time when he was crazy.
Okay.
Oh, don't quote me on that, because I'm sure they actually think that it's been explained somewhere if you go and read all the
gotcha, because it kind of threw me off a little bit.
But the mask itself looked a bit like Dr. Fate's. Not exactly.
It was one other thing too. What was the deal Oliver made with the monitor? That's what I want to know. That has me perplexed.
Most people are saying that he will die instead of Barry and Kara.
Got you.
So he'll die during the crisis.
Got you. One thing I would like to see when it comes to the Arrowverse now, I want to see Black Lightning in this. They have to. I think his character, along with the girls, I would like to see them in a match.
I would find that it would be that's difficult. I can't see that. Look at the schedule-wise, that'd be the equivalent of having Legends on a crossover, and it didn't work then. And I think they'd be struggling to make it work now.
So do you think maybe they'll have like some guest stars on Black Lightning? Maybe like Flash show up one day, or
maybe
like that.
Yeah, it would definitely make more sense for them for Oliver or Barry to go there, maybe with one other person.
Here's an interesting thing too. We were wondering about the Legends, how they weren't in it, but the last episodes of Legends, they bring reference to Elseworlds, and that was pretty cool. It was pretty cool how they did that, and I thought that was pretty ingenious, because I was thinking like, wait a minute, what about the Legends? But they kind of brought that up in there. So I thought that was pretty cool.
So I think that's good. I love seeing how the CW shows, the Arrowverse shows, can work together like that.
Yeah, but I'm holding out hope, man. Black Lightning, Arrowverse. I'm holding out hope. I'm keeping hope alive, brother. Keeping hope alive. Hey, But before I let you go, Darryl, how can ones continue to follow you on social media and follow some of your great writings? Because you put out some great stuff almost every day.
You can see me writing on Hollywood News Source, which is hollywoodnewssource.com, and you can find all the links there to the rest of our stuff. You can find me on Twitter. We can talk superheroes as much as you like on Shaft's Word on Twitter, which is SHAFTSWORD. And you can also, if you're a fan of Marvel, in the new year, you can read my recaps of Marvel's The Gifted on Fox each week. Obviously, and that will come out the previous episode on that Tuesday, so it will always be one back, so you can catch the recap, so you can review before the episode starts if you've forgotten what happened.
Awesome. Hey, I appreciate that, my friend, and look forward to catching up and chatting with you some more on all this great stuff, all this entertainment we got to cover, my friend. Don't forget, great entertainment news. Go to HollywoodNewsSource.com. You can always connect with me, PaulAmadeusLane.com. Connect with my brother, Darryl Lay, over at Hollywood News Source. Great writing. Darryl, he just kicks out stories almost every day, multiple. I mean, great writer. When I get older one day, I want to be just like Darryl when it comes to my writing style and all that other great stuff too. All right, until next time, take care, folks. This is the Entertainment Zone. I am Paul Amadeus Lane, ABC News Radio King Met, and HollywoodNewsSource.com. Take care, folks.